Yo, what's up? We're back, and it's gonna be for Cage Warriors 113. First Cage Warriors card that I'm breaking down, but it's gonna be the last card for a while. It did take a lot of work to break down this full card in a couple of days. So yeah, man, show some love to this video for sure. You know, put a like down, put a comment down as well, and yeah, thanks for always supporting the channel. But we're gonna get right into it with this first fight, Lewis Monarch versus Kingsley Crawford, and you know, it's a featherweight fight. Both of them, I believe that Monarch weighed at 148 pounds, so I think they changed it to like a 148 pound catchweight fight. I'm not really sure what happened there, but I believe that's what happened. And you know, here we have you know, Lewis Monarch. He's the much more experienced guy. He's 10-5. Kingsley Crawford's only 4-2. Monarch, he has hit a rough patch in his career though. He started 8-0, and since then he's only gone 2-5 in his last 7 fights. So not really been looking very good. He is coming off of back-to-back losses as well. He really needs to bounce back here for sure. And he still has yet to be finished though. So, you know, 2 of those 5 decisions were splits, but going 0-5 in decisions is not very good. You know, that's not a good look for you. But Kingsley Crawford, he's 2-2 in his last 4 fights. He is coming off a second round knockout of Scott Butters, or TKO. And Crawford, you know, he's more of a pure striker. He does have fast hands, decent counters, but doesn't have great distance control. You know, he will switch stances. His straight punches, body head are pretty good. He does seem to have power, and he's very fast. So when he gets confident, he starts landing, moving, being fluid. He can be, you know, a decent striker, but if his opponents jam him, make the fight ugly, you know, inside, he does have some nice elbows. He'll throw some step-in knees, but he doesn't like being hit. He really reacts to feints. He'll tense up in the pocket, just covers up a lot, and his takedown defense is really non-existent. And he'll also throw a lot of unset-up kicks that can get caught. He can get jammed off those kicks as well. He just doesn't really understand range for MMA that well yet. He can get taken down with takedowns, taken down off the kicks pretty easily. In his last fight, you know, he did throw some nice knees in the clinch, but off of his back, he will attack with some low percentage submissions at times, but really has no get-up game, no bottom game at all. He did take mount in his last fight. He hurt his opponent late in the first round, and early in the second round, his opponent shot a terrible takedown, pulled guard. Crawford was able to take mount and finish, but that was really his opponent kind of quitting. But, you know, he did show some solid ground and pound, good elbows, and, you know, finishing instincts there. For Monarch, you know, he's much more experienced, and he seems seeing much higher level opponents. And you could see, like, in the composure, the calmness in the cage that he has compared to Crawford, that he just has a lot more experience. He is a good boxer himself, good jab, tight hooks, good kicks, and he pressures well. I feel like that's going to be big in this fight. He's going to be the guy going forward, in my opinion. In the pocket, I think he should have a major advantage in close quarters because, you know, Crawford, I just don't think he likes being hit. I don't think he likes being in the fire. He's much better when he can be on the outside and pot shot. And if he can, you know, walk Monarch into some big shots, he could hurt him because Monarch's defense isn't the best. But, you know, I feel Monarch needs to use his experience here, work a game plan, work takedowns. He has some decent, you know, double legs. I feel he's the much better wrestler here, though, in this fight. He does have a decent Kimura. He can control guys against the fence. But I would say mix it up, you know, work some striking, takedowns. He is a finisher. Obviously, he's finished all his wins, and he's 0-5 in decisions, which is pretty bad. But I actually felt his last fight was very close. He could have won that fight. Monarch, you know, he should be able to stay in Crawford's face, land shots in the pocket. And I feel he should be able to land as Crawford tries to exit as well. And like I said, you know, Crawford tenses up. He doesn't really like getting hit. Monarch is usually very deliberate. So, I mean, if he can see that, use some more fakes and feints here, that would go, you know, big towards helping him win. But, you know, I still think he's a little bit better inside. He hits harder. He's the bigger guy, tighter with his punches. He does have to watch out for those elbows, but he has much more experience. If he grapples as well, he should win this fight. And my pick's going to be Monarch via TKO from top position, or even winning his first ever decision. And I'm actually, you know, fairly confident in him winning this fight. And up next in this fight, we have a lightweight bout with a undefeated guy in Jack Collins, who's only 3-0 though, and he's going to be taking a step up in competition. He's challenging the 6-2 Aidan Stephen. This will be Collins' first fight in Cage Warriors, and Aidan, you know, he is a veteran of Cage Warriors. He has 3 fights in the promotion. He's 2-1. Stephen, his 2 losses have come against established guys, so he is much more experienced than his opponent here. In this fight, I found only 1 fight from this guy, Jack Collins, and I'm pretty confident Stephen's going to get it done, though. Even after only seeing 1 fight, both these guys look like grapplers. Stephen looks a little bit better as a striker, even, because Jack Collins looks very stiff on the feet. In the one match I saw, Collins, he was pressuring, he threw a couple kicks, and then he shot in on a pretty terrible single leg. Got reversed, his opponent took top position, took the mount, crucifixed him. He almost finished him multiple times with ground and pound, but, Collins did show heart, got the surprise heel hook out of nowhere. But, in this fight, Stevens, he's a wrestler. He's a guy that has good grappling. We saw that when he fought against Kingsley Crawford. He closed that distance, took him down. And he can take some shots, keep coming, has a good chin. And also, inside, I feel like he's a little bit cleaner with his punches, even though I really haven't seen a lot of Jack Collins on the feet, so it's hard to say that. But, Stephen dominated a pretty decent striker, like I just said, in Kingsley. And I don't think, Collins is going to have that much of a danger on the feet. So I don't think Collins is going to be able to survive 3 rounds here. I think that if he gets taken down, he's going to get finished. So my pick's going to be Aidan Stephen via first round TKO, and I actually have bet on Aidan Stephen as well. Man, up next here, this fight's pretty low level, guys, but James Hendin taking on Chris Edwards, 4-0 guy taking on a 13-11 guy. Hendin is 22-0. He has 3 wins in Cage Warriors. He did defeat a 5-0 opponent in his last fight, so he's going to get tested here by a veteran, Chris Edwards, who, does have a salty record, 13-11, but, he's 5-2 in his last 7 fights. He's, steadily improved over his career. He is 5-8 in Cage Warriors, so he has 13 fights in a row in the promotion, so, he is very used to fighting, in Cage Warriors. But Edwards, he's tall, he's long, maybe the more technical boxer. He has decent jabs, straight punches, kicks, some tight hooks, but isn't very dangerous, doesn't have a lot of power, he's kind of slow. He just has 2 career TKOs, and he usually allows his opponents to back him up. He doesn't really control range or the center well, and he's definitely going to be the slower guy here. His takedown defense is also not good. Isn't a great athlete. Really, Edwards is an opportunistic submission guy. That's what he is. He'll win a scramble, take the back, lock in a rear naked, decent armbar, decent triangle. He does have 7 submissions, and I think that's going to be his one shot here, besides, landing a knee or something when Hendon enters. But Hendon, he's a wrestler, boxer, some okay kicks. He likes to use, hooks and overhands to cross the distance and get in on the legs or in a clinch. He's a little wild on the feet, but, he's kind of stiff. He's vulnerable in exchanges. He does have a nice low kick. He will throw a high kick. He'll usually throw, that high kick when he has opponents against the fence. And Hendon knows what he's good at, though. He looks to grapple quickly in fights. He's good at using an underhook to power his opponent to the mat. Good throws. He'll chain wrestle against the cage. His takedowns on the legs really aren't very good. He's much better at, upper body takedowns. In top position, Hendon, not very good or dangerous, but can't control low-level guys win the fight. He just likes to control, throw elbows from half guard. Decent in scrambles. He can, continue to grapple if opponents stand up, mat return them. He has struggled with leg locks in some matches. He can be swept by them. And in this match, though, you got to go with Hendon, I feel like. He's a better athlete. He's a better grappler. He's undefeated. He should be able to take him down and, grind on him, work him against the cage, land some shots, and win a decision. So my pick is definitely Hendon here, but, when you see a guy who's 4-0 fighting a guy with over 20 fights, it's hard to bet him at, such a high number. I think Hendon's like minus 300 or something, so I don't think you could bet it there, but I'm going to go with James Hendon. Up next here, we have a middleweight fight. Matthew Bonner taking on Jamie Richardson. Bonner, he's 6-5. He has won back-to-back fights, but Jamie Richardson, he's another guy who, is only 8-5 in his career, so he's not much better. He has most of his fights at 170. He is moving to 85 here. He's only 23 years old, so I feel like maybe he's, going to be in this weight class for a while now. He did only weigh in at 182 pounds, as you see there, but it's a little weird. A lot of these guys weighed in much lighter than what they, had to. But he will probably be the smaller guy against the 29-year-old Bonner. Richardson, he's a banger, though, man. He has finished all 8 of his wins by KO, TKO, 5 of those in the first round. His opponent, he's more of a decision fighter. He's never been finished, though, and he has 3 finishes, 3 decision wins, and his 6 victories. The problem is, he's only 3-5-1 in decisions. I expect Bonner, in this fight to want to use his wrestling. On the feet, he's a counter fighter, but slow. I feel very vulnerable against a guy like Richardson. Throws naked kicks. He stands very tall, chin high. He does have a decent single leg. And on top, he just likes to grind on guys, work short shots, be a wet blanket. He does have 2 rear naked chokes. And Richardson can be taken down and controlled. In this fight, I don't think, I don't know if he's going to be able to take him down and control him here because Richardson has improved a little bit with his get-ups. But, I expect Bonner to look for the single leg, get the takedown, and control on the mat. But for Richardson, he's a forward pressure striker. He's much faster. He works behind the jab, nice jab, 1-2 left hook. He keeps everything very tight. His boxing is actually pretty decent, and when he can put a few punches together, he will rattle, hurt guys. He is a dog, man. In his last fight, he got hurt to the body. Then he got battered for the majority of the next round, and late in the fight, he was almost stopped against the cage. Then he took over and, went on a rush and TKO'd his opponent. And, that was big to me to see him battle through adversity like that. He does struggle on the ground. He has 3 rear naked chokes lost, 3 rear naked choke losses, and he looks a bit lost off of his back at times. I have seen in a recent fight, him catch a kick, control, and land some ground and pound, and he was able to hit a body lock in that match as well. Ended up finishing the fight with some pretty big, elbows. I just feel like trajectory-wise, skill-wise, athleticism-wise, and the guy that just wants it more is Jamie Richardson. He's the more dangerous guy, and the only way I see him losing is if he just continuously gets taken down with a single leg or gives his back and gets choked out. On the feet, he's way faster. He throws more volume. He's just crisper. He will be the one controlling the center, in my opinion, and he should win this fight. I'm going with Jamie Richardson via second round KO here. And up next here, we have Jake Bond taking on Amarasinghe, and it's a flyweight fight here. Both these guys weighed in, they made weight, and 2 low-level guys though, 4-2, 3-2. Bond, he's 3-2. He's gonna be making his Cage Warriors debut. He's a wild bomber, on the feet. He's never been out of the first round, and his opponent, Adam, much more experience. He's fought in later rounds. He's also fought the higher level competition, albeit with mixed results there. On the feet, Bond, extremely wild, wing shots, come forward, wants to go to war, but he's wide open, overextends, falls forward, very sloppy. He's gotten a bit more defensively sound, doesn't open up quite as much in recent fights or his last fight that I watched, but that's about it. And Adam, much better on the feet, good movement, decent footwork, straight punches, kicks, much more variety. He'll switch stances, decent at fighting, moving backwards, pull countering, and he's also a decent grappler. He has a good body lock. Adam, that is. He has a good body lock, good defensive wrestling. He may be able to take him down and submit him from top position if he can get Bond down. But for Bond as a grappler, that's a strong suit. He has a good single leg. He looks very strong. He'll get a hold of guys against the cage, get slam takedowns, manhandle them. And he does a good job taking the back, finishing with rear naked chokes. But a lot of his grappling is really with brute force, though. And against grapplers who are more seasoned, he's the guy who will get worked in the grappling. I really believe that. He isn't easy to take down, but he will shoot sloppy takedowns, get reversed off of his back. Really just goes for low percentage submissions, but not much else. And in his match with Serdar Altas, he was taken down and finished with ground and pound pretty quickly. He didn't get hurt bad, but just didn't know how to get out of the position and got finished. And in this matchup, I have to go with Adam. He has more experience. I feel like he can body lock Bond if he comes winging, and he should be much faster, sharper on the feet. I think if he gets top position, he could submit Bond. Bond maybe could get a guillotine, as Adam does leave his head inside, but Bond has no guillotines in his career. I do feel this is maybe a dog or pass fight. You could put Adam in some parlays potentially, but I'm going to go with Adam via decision or late submission here. This was a tough one right here. Darren O'Gorman versus Conor Hignett. O'Gorman, he's a jiu-jitsu guy. Doesn't have a good chin. He's been KO'd in 3 of his 4 losses. All of his wins are via submission. He does have another loss via split decision. And Hignett, he's finished all of his wins also. 5 submissions, 2 KO TKOs. He's lost once by TKO, and he's never been submitted himself. But, O'Gorman, he has some average striking, but he does have good forward pressure, straight shots, kicks. He's willing to throw down, but he does have a bad chin. He's sloppy in exchanges, and I think Hignett is probably the better athlete that throws harder shots. But, Hignett doesn't like getting hit, man, and his striking is very, very sloppy striking for Conor Hignett. But, O'Gorman, he's another one of these opportunistic submission guys. He does have a good rear leg body and head kick, which, maybe will work effectively in this fight. He won't really set it up with the hands, though. He can be countered or taken down off of it. He does hold his hands low. He drops the hands. O'Gorman, he doesn't really have good offensive wrestling either, so he just tries to use forward pressure to draw out takedowns, and then you'll attack with subs off his back, good guillotine, good arm bars, triangles, good sweeps, and if he gets in top position, he does have a good crucifix. I've seen him get a reverse triangle before, nice rear naked choke, so in top position, he is pretty dangerous, but Conor Hignett, short, compact, wrestle boxer. I see him as the better athlete here. Maybe he hits harder. He has a decent jab, but I don't have a lot of good things to say about Conor Hignett, man. I mean, just doesn't look good at all to me. I mean, maybe you could walk him down behind the jab, get some late round takedowns to seal the fight, but the issue is he tends to get taken down, very bad takedown defense, and off of his back, he's terrible, man. He tends to get mounted, he's been finished on the mat. If he gets taken down, I think O'Gorman's going to finish him, so my pick is going to be Darren O'Gorman via finish, via submission, or a TKO on the ground at some point in this fight, but yeah, both these guys I'm not very impressed with. Okay, here we go. See, this fight, pretty good fight. Perry Goodwin taking on Steve Aimable. And, Aimable, he's a pretty decent striker. He's predominantly a boxer, quick hands, very nice jab. He will double, triple up on the jab. He goes body head with the jab. He will start a lot of combinations off with the lead hand, either the jab, the left hook. He likes to throw 1-2s, jab, uppercuts, jab, right hooks. He'll slip and rip in the pocket. Good hooks, overhands. Nice low kicks as well, front kicks to the body, to the head. And when he can go forward, back his opponents up, he'll put long combinations together. He'll rip the body well, and he'll switch stances, cut the cage off. And he's a tough dude. I mean, he could take shots. The issue is, doesn't really move his head much. And when he fought Mads Burnell, I don't know if he was just very much waiting for the takedown or what, but Burnell was able to come over the top, land some big hooks, overhands, rocked him. Aimable does have a strong chin, and by round 3, he did look fresher than Mads. He could have won that 3rd round, but lost that fight. And he's never been finished by strikes, though, so definitely is durable. Good power, 8 KO TKOs in his 14 wins. And, he's a good grappler as well. Good takedown defense. We saw that against Burnell, who's a great grappler. He will mix takedowns in between striking combinations, blends it pretty well, catches kicks, get takedowns that way. And, good takedown defense, get-ups. He doesn't accept bottom position. When you take him down, he's hard to hold down. He will continue to stand up, tires opponent out. In top position, more about control, ground and pound. No submissions, but has been submitted once 6 years ago. Since starting his career 2-3, he's gone 12-3 in his last 15 fights. And looked pretty good. It was going to be a title fight for his last fight in Cage Wars, but he did miss weight for that bout. In this fight, he did make weight, so that is a good sign here. And he's going to be looking to get back on the horse. But Perry Goodwin, predominantly a striker as well. And I'm actually, pretty impressed with Perry Goodwin for what his record is. I wasn't expecting him to be this good, but since going to Cage Warriors, he has 6 fights, 3 upsets, and he's the perennial underdog. I think he's been the underdog in all 6 of his fights in Cage Warriors. He did begin his career 2-3 as well, but in his last 9 fights, he is 6-3, and I believe he's going to be the slightly bigger guy here. He has fought at 170 pounds before. He's fought at 155. Now he's fighting at 145. He did fight at 145, I think in his last 2 fights, or maybe in his last fight, then he went back up, and he did win a 45-pound fight that I saw. Good cardio, so isn't going to be a guy that gasses out because of the weight cut, most likely. And he's a solid athlete, good movement, heavy low kicks, but he will drop his hands when he throws kicks, which is a bad habit. And he's on his bike a lot. He likes to fight off the back foot. Really nice counter left hook, though. In his last match, he landed that left hook and put his opponent's lights out. He will throw some long 1-2s, pretty good hand speed, powerful hooks inside as well. He's a guy who feints, uses a lot of lateral movement, talks trash, puts his hands down, puts his hands behind his back, and he's doing all this to just try to goad guys in and come in sloppy where he'll land his counters. And he's also a strong guy. He's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. He's improving takedown defense. And in his last match, he was able to defend the single leg of his opponent against the cage and really put damage on him with some hammer fists, with some elbows. He was countering takedown attempts with the Kimura. He almost finished that Kimura in the first round, but good win. He will jump full guard on guillotines. He'll look to hit switches, and he embraces the grappling. And this is something I don't really like to see, as he can lose rounds by being controlled on the fence or on the mat. And he can get a little bit tired when he's forced to grapple for long periods of time. Goodwin, he will look for takedowns himself when he starts getting badly outstruck, but doesn't really look like an active wrestler in most of his fights. He does have a decent double and takedowns against the fence, but his top control isn't great. Goodwin, he's not very good when you can mix it up. I've noticed that if you can get him against the cage and strike and then shoot takedowns, he's pretty easy to take down. He doesn't really blend his skills together very well yet, and that's what Aimable is going to need to do. He's going to need to back Goodwin up to the fence, always be defensively sound, keep his hands up, enter range very smoothly, don't overextend, don't give openings for Goodwin to land that left hook, and get him against the fence, strike to create takedown entries, rinse and repeat. He needs to go forward, man. He can't allow Perry to back him up, because Perry's athletic, and when he backs guys up, he will, start to feint a lot, land some straight punches, start to get confident, land more volume, and if he can't allow Perry to land and pot shot and circle away either, those are the two ways that Perry can win. If he can get Perry against the cage, mix it up, I expect him to get the takedowns and, win the fight. And that's where he has a, good chance. Aimable is susceptible to hooks. He can't stand in range versus Goodwin without having his hands high. Goodwin does have 5 knockouts in his 8 wins, but I do believe Aimable probably has better cardio. Both guys' cardio, isn't bad, but if Aimable grapples, I think he's going to be the one to outlast him. Goodwin, he has a style of moving, throwing a lot of bombs, uses a lot of energy. So, you could see in round 2 and round 3 of his fight with Reese McKee, he did slow down. That was a big 155er, though. And Aimable definitely has to be respectful of Perry's power, check the low kicks. But I believe he's going to do that, work a smart game plan and get the decision victory here over a tough Perry Goodwin here. And up next we have a return of a fan favorite of Cage Warriors, Paddy Pimblett, who's finally getting back in the cage and going to work. He hasn't fought in a year and a half, actually. He's had a couple failed attempts and even had 2 opponents pull out for this date. But Decky Dalton, he stepped in, and Dalton usually is a featherweight, but he will be making the move up to 155 here. Both these guys, actually, if you look at the weigh-ins, Paddy weighed in 152.5, Dalton 153. So Dalton even weighed in more heavy than him, but I do believe Paddy will be, the bigger guy in there. The thing is, Paddy fought a lot of his career at 145 as well, so it's not like he's a career 55er either. But Dalton, 11-4, Bama veteran. And, this is going to be his first fight in Cage Warriors. He hasn't really fared well when he gets these steps up in competition. Doesn't really have many good wins. And the favorite in this fight is definitely going to be Paddy Pimblett. But Dalton, he's actually a decent striker. Good movement, distance control, fluid punches, tight, straight shots down the middle, body head, heavy low kicks, good front kicks, round kicks. And he's been mixing it up in grappling in recent fights. Nice power double, good submission game. In his losses, he struggled with the grappling. And in this fight, with a guy like Paddy, I think that's what Paddy's going to be looking to do here. Paddy's always a guy that's, looking to fight long and then use those kicks, straight punches, and then shoot in on the leg, chain wrestle, wear his opponent out, go for takedowns. But when he can't get those takedowns, he can get a little bit tired. His boxing defense is not good, and it could get interesting. But, don't really have a ton to say about this fight. I definitely think it's a dog or pass fight. Didn't put a ton of interest in this fight just because not a big fan of Paddy Pimblett's style, and I would never bet him at this number. So the pick's going to be Paddy Pimblett, but I think this is definitely a pass fight for me. And I'm actually pretty confident here in this pick with David Bear. It is a little bit tough because Bear, he hasn't fought in a while. I was only able to catch a couple of his fights, but the thing I like about David Bear is he looks athletic, he picks and pulls well, and good takedowns as well. So he can take his opponent down, control on the mat, and he's not part of this quick tap club. I've seen him get out of some very deep arm bars, and I've seen him, control guys for long periods of time on the mat, move to dominant positions. I like his top game. He has quite a few submissions as well, and I just believe, that when you look at Nathan Jones here, I just was not very impressed. I mean, he throws some high kicks, which I feel like he could easily be taken down off of. He did get a triangle in his last fight. He can be kind of opportunistic with submissions. But I think David Bear is more athletic. I think he's the better striker. I think he has, much better grappling as well. And unless he just gets submitted, I mean, in that fight that he lost, his one fight that he lost, it was against a very good fighter as well. And he was winning the whole fight and got submitted in like the last 20 seconds of the fight. So, it was still a decent performance from him there. And I just feel like he is a lot higher level than the 13-9 Nathan Jones. So, definitely I'm picking David Bear, and I feel like he should comfortably win here. Pick's going to be David Bear. I'm going to bet on David Bear as well. And up next here we have the co-main event. It is a title fight, so it's going to be 5 rounds, and it's actually, a decent card. Joe McColgan, he's going to be taking on Mason Jones, and McColgan, he's light on his feet, decent kicks, good boxing. He's very long, and he uses it well on the mat as well, but he has nice jabs, straight punches, slips and rips, solid head movement. Really nice kick to the body, rear leg body kick that he uses. He used that in his last match, hurt his opponent, took top position, and then darsed him. And he can't keep his hands low. He's very hittable. And he's also taken a lot of damage in fights. He's been finished by strikes before. In this fight, I feel like he may have some success striking early on, but needs to wrestle to be successful. He does have good double legs, single legs, chain wrestling against the cage. He needs to use the double against the cage control on top. I feel like on the feet, he has to go forward, and he can't allow himself to get backed up, because if he can, get takedowns, control the range, that's his path to victory. But for Mason Jones, he's a dog, man. He has great boxing, great durability, heart, cardio. He walks guys down and breaks them. Insane amount of output and a sick jab, which I feel like is going to be very, very effective in this fight. He'll double, triple up on the jab, nasty left hook, straight punches. He'll attack body, head. He pieces guys up with the hands very well, puts a lot of accumulative damage on guys. Very nice low kicks, round and front kicks, body, head, spinning kicks. He will maybe take damage early, but he weathers the storm, walk guys down, and then he'll finish them late or runs away with it. He doesn't really have big power, but he will end up taking over the fight just with his cardio, his sheer will, and winning the fight on the cards. This fight being 5 rounds, it's huge for Jones, I feel like, because I think he could potentially finish him in the later rounds. He has good grappling also. He'll blend takedowns in between combinations. And on top, he has good control, ground and pound. He isn't as dynamic with submissions as Joe is, but he's a workman. You'll get the crucifix, cross body. He'll work Kimuras, rear naked chokes. He does have 3 submissions. His takedown defense is a little bit questionable against the cage. He can get taken down with doubles there. He can start slow, but he's like a Homer Simpson. He'll let guys blow their wads, and then he takes over late. But undefeated, he should be super confident heading in here. And I'm going to pick Mason Jones. This is a 5-round fight. I feel like that favors him heavily. He's going to be able to walk down Joe, in my opinion, land the jab, some big shots, kicks. I think Joe may get some takedowns and make it competitive, but I think he's going to slowly start to will. I think the damage is going to accumulate, and Jones will start to dominate, maybe even get a late 4th or 5th round TKO finish. So I'm going to go with Mason Jones here to get the win. I do feel like the line was a lot better earlier when it wasn't like minus 400. Not sure if I would bet that, but still going to go with Mason Jones for the win. And up next we have the main event. It is a UFC fight here. Darren Stewart taking on Bartosz Fabinski. And this is an interesting fight because, Darren Stewart originally, he was supposed to fight against Marvin Vettori. Bartosz, he was fighting against the newcomer Shavkat Rakhmonov. And Bartosz was actually supposed to fight at 170 pounds. So, I feel like maybe he didn't even cut weight. He is a big 180 or 170 pounder. But Darren Stewart probably is going to be significantly bigger, even though he only weighed in. You see, it's so weird. I don't know why I weighed in 182.9 and 181.5. I don't know why Stewart is weighing in 3 pounds under the limit, but 4 pounds under the limit. But, I don't know why. But I feel like Stewart is going to be the bigger guy. He's definitely used to fighting bigger guys. And this fight's pretty simple, right? Bartosz, he comes in there with one game plan, man. He wants to go in there, take you down, chain wrestle. He's a grinder, man, and very physically strong. Once he gets on the legs, he'll usually get the double, come up into the clinch, control against the cage, take guys down, mat return them. He'll grapevine the legs. And, on top, he doesn't really attack with submissions, 0 submissions in his career. But he stays tight and he just blankets guys and wins the decisions that way. But we all know Darren Stewart by now. He's a very explosive guy, great movement, big power, big explosive power inside, especially with those elbows, with those knees. He isn't the greatest wrestler, but he's definitely gotten better with his defensive grappling, with his get-ups, and he's been fighting, similar type opponents. Darren Wynn tried to take him down. He was able to get the split decision there. Edmund Shabazian, he was trying to take him down. He lost a split decision in that fight to Shabazian. So, he's had mixed results in terms of fighting grapplers, and this is going to be probably, the guy that's going to try to just grapple him the most, try to not strike with him at all, and he has to know that. And I feel like Marvin Vettori probably would have had a similar game plan, so I do think, Darren Stewart was training to defend takedowns and things like that, and Bartosz is always going to come in with the same game plan. So these guys are going to do what they do. They're going to be tuned up, and the thing about it is maybe Bartosz, I feel like, could have success early getting the takedowns, controlling, slowing down the fight. But he's so vulnerable on the feet, man. I mean, Michel Prazeres proved that again in his last fight when he knocked him out with the overhand right. And Stewart, I just feel like, is much faster, much more explosive, much more dynamic. And you got to close that distance and eat those shots. And inside, Stewart has some big power as well with the knees, with the elbows. I think he has enough to get up off bottom. Bartosz isn't a big finisher either, and he also gets tired. So, coming up, fighting at 185, he's going to be fighting a bigger guy. He's going to be trying to grapple him to the ground. If Stewart can make him work for these takedowns, get up, he's going to be able to tire him out. And that's where Stewart's going to be able to start having an advantage. He's going to be much looser, much faster on the feet, much more dynamic, just much more dangerous. That's just what it is. And, I'm going to go with Darren Stewart via third-round knockout in this fight. I think that he should be able to get it done. He should win this fight, man. He's going to be the guy that's in better form in the UFC. He's, probably the bigger name. He's the favorite. He's fighting in Cage Warriors where he, guest commentates. He's used to, fighting in England, in his home country. He has all the advantages here, and he should get the win, If he, loses this fight by getting out-grappled, that would be a bad loss to me. So I feel like Darren Stewart should get it done and probably will get it done via finish. And we're just going to jump over to the lines here, talk about this for a little bit. But the parlay of the week for us this week is going to be David Bear, minus 185, parlayed with Lewis Monarch at minus 165. So that's going to be the parlay of the week for this week. I guess the underdog, or actually O'Gorman, I guess, is going to be our underdog play of the week because that is the only underdog that we have taken on this card. I do believe, some plays that are pretty good as well. Aidan Stephen. I feel like he should definitely... Actually, you know what? We're going to be changing that parlay right now, so we're going to change it. I'm actually going to bet this parlay as well now that I'm thinking about it. I'm going to bet Aidan Stephen, minus 210, and David Bear, minus 185. So take out Lewis Monarch, bet him straight. I do believe he should win this fight. But the parlay of the week is going to be Aidan Stephen and David Bear. And some other guys, that I think are pretty safe. Obviously Mason Jones, but minus 440, that's a very steep price at this point in my opinion. I think Jamie Richardson, I have bet him straight. So minus 110, I got him at minus 115 actually. So that's a better line there if you want to jump on that one. James Hendin versus Chris Edwards, pass fight for me. I think Adam, maybe you could put him in some parlays if you want to as well. A lot of people are on Steve Aimable this week. I may place a small bet on Steve Aimable as well. So I do have a few plays that I've done as well. So check the betmmatips. This is, going to be recorded a little bit earlier, so you will be able to go there and see some bets that I made even later on in the day or after I finish recording the video. But so that's my thoughts for Cage Warriors 113. Thanks for following along. Thanks for listening. And we're gonna be coming out with some new content. We're gonna figure it out. And like I said, this took a lot of work to do this video in a couple days. Research all these fights. So yeah, drop a comment down. Tell me who you like, who you're betting on, what you think of all this craziness, and put a like down as well. Let's try to get to 100 likes on this video. It's going to be tough, I know, because it's only one day. So, we'll see what happens. But I want to try to get some traction on this video. So let's see what happens. Thanks for watching, guys. Comment, like, subscribe, and let's have fun watching these fights.